You wake up after deep sleep and you find yourself in a broken down spaceship. You have no memory of what is going on. It's extremely cold and everything inside the ship is damaged, but instead of worrying about yourself, you are hoping to find your partner, but she is missing. How far are you willing to go in order to find her? Face against other androids who are now zombies or mutated monsters? Dangerous terrain? Yourself? Please, come join me in this dangerous journey of Signalis. My name is Shadow, and what I am doing and will plan to do in the future is a review and share some facts on games I've played and liked. Think of it like Did You Know gaming with facts, but also my thoughts on it while I played and beaten it. In mid 2023, I saw some clips from a Twitter account user, Arainydancer. They made a lot of fan videos with some of the characters in the game with cute and wholesome moments to scary and intense moments. At first, I thought it was someone's original character they created. One day, I sent a clip to a friend and I wanted to know where the characters came from, and then that's when I discovered the game. The screenshots and description definitely caught my attention. The game is a classic horror survival experience set in a dystopian future where humanity has uncovered a dark secret. You play as Elster, a technician replica searching for her lost dreams, and you're looking for Ariane, who you later find out is your partner and your lover. The game came out on October 27, 2022. Think of it like the old Resident Evil games, but I never really played them. I only started on 4 because my cousin had it on her Wii. When I started Signalis, I wasn't expecting to feel uneasy and have a chill down my spine just from the main menu and song playing. Me talking about it won't really do it justice because if you look up any playthroughs, you'll notice that some parts of the theme had to be muted because of copyright by what seems to be a channel. I'll see if I can find it, but when I first posted my playthrough, it told me that a channel or group called the Connet Project had claimed it because of the chant. Again, when I just started the game, the whole thing made me a bit scared because I had no idea what was going on. It's like experiencing something supernatural, or if you're walking alone somewhere and you get this weird tension like something's there with you, but you don't know where it's coming from. The game is governed in Nation of Yusan, and after looking up the Magpie box theme, it shows me that a video from the Connet archive and the title of it called The Three Note Oddity. And in the description, it says that the language is German, so that's my guess where the nation is based on. From what I could find, the Connet Project is pretty much a number station. For those who don't know, number stations are towers that send signals or messages by chanting numbers or noises. It was believed and still is believed that the government used it to communicate to deployed spies so other nations and governments wouldn't understand or get the message being sent. The Connet Project is a 4, later 5 CD set of recordings of number stations being released by the Israel Discs beginning in 1997. Samples of the collection were used in numerous films and albums like Cameron Crowe's 2001 film Vanilla Sky, Porcupine Tree's album Stupid Dream, and much more. Hell, I even recently found out that Markiplier's video, Back of the Backrooms, the complex found footage, at 41 minutes and 30 seconds, the Three Note Odyssey is being played at the mall, and it makes the
What's
whole
that
thing
about?
spooky and very confusing
Love that.
when you
Love
first
that. Love them all.
hear about it.
Love them all.
While trying to find your partner, you come across Issa, who you later find out is also looking for her sister. At first, your character is a bit surprised because Issa reminds her of Ariane. As you continue your journey, you also find other replicas who are hiding from enemies because they don't know if they'll die next, or other replicas who just sustain injuries that can't be healed. You could talk to them to gain more knowledge of the story and know what happened in the facility. Then you come across Adler, or Administration Data Processing Logistics Replica, Eagle, as a codename or just Adler for short. He's a 5th generation high command specialist replica. Adler means eagle in German, so that explains the key symbol and the symbol in his room. While you share Adler the photo of Ariane, he pushes you off a broken elevator, and that's when you discover even more suspicious things happening in the game. After you fall off the elevator, you land on top of a pile of dozens and dozens of dead replicas who have also met the same fate. But lucky for you, you managed to survive after being on top of one of them. More and more exploration, you get cutscenes from Ariane in the past, with you, and some moments with Issa while she's looking for her sister in the game. While exploring, you find posters with soldiers and text seeming to say that people and androids needed to put aside happy emotions and be ready for war. And while exploring, you find out that Ariane used to live at a faraway place with her aunt so she could attend school, because before living with her aunt, Ariane kept herself isolated and lacked contact with others because she loved art and painting. She was mocked by other students and bullied because of it. She also suffered from premature acromichia. I'll I'll put the text up because it's tough to pronounce sometimes, even after me looking up the pronunciation. For those who don't know, it's when the hair turns gray from those at a young age, usually before they hit the age of 20. It occurs when melanin ceases to be produced in the hair root and new hair grows without pigment. Young adults who get affected by it can hurt their self esteem and could lead them to being bullied by something they can't control. And because of it, Ariane was bullied for it, but luckily she was saved by Issa's twin sister, Erica, and they became friends despite their age and cultural differences. Ariane used to work as a clerk in her family's business, but she had to stop because of an accident which led her to a hospital because of severe bruising. She then suffered from insomnia and suffered from premature acromichia. Again, tough for me to pronounce. When she headed home from school, she noticed a poster of the nation's Penrose program. While working there, she came across an Imperial spy who was terrified by her bioresonant abilities. Unaware of Ariane, the school's administration, Aeon, I don't know, found out and never mentioned it to her. They had her go through many tests on her ability in the final year of the school by using astronomical cards of planets on them. During that, her interest in arts grew more and more, but it was frowned upon greatly by one of her teachers who recommended Ariane be assigned to military services to, in quotes, beat it out of her, which definitely sounds about right when it comes to nations or religions that have this type of mindset because it doesn't fit their ideal for the kids or society. But this became a blessing in disguise because Ariane was assigned to be stationed on the S-23 Serapinsky facility, a remote re-education facility on her home world of Lang. The program vessel she was set to go off in was the Penrose 512, with a replica engineer Ulster 512, aka Ulster. I'll put up the text to see the difference between from me saying it because there is a bit of a difference. Despite the rules, they both played music and watched movies together. The two bonded together for the next 3,000 cycles. However, things took a turn for the worse. On the 3,000 cycle, or the third phase, Ariane was supposed to find life or planetary objects during her voyage. If they didn't find anything, the nation stated that the vessel must decay or take itself out with an internal system such as a nuclear reactor on board, killing everyone on the ship. Ariane hid this information from Elster, wanting to spend their lives together in happiness, dancing and falling asleep. Ariane then sustained radiation poisoning, slowly dying from it. Her hair started to fall off, same with her teeth, and then she got intense insomnia along with a variety of health issues. I know this is very specific, but after the 262,144 cycle, thank you Wiki, a damaged Elster, in order to save Ariane, used the ship's cryopod to preserve Ariane and stop her from dying. When they landed, Elsa would wake up from Ariane from the pod, but Elsa would die from the intense cold on the ship, leaving Ariane in the pod to suffer from the effects of radiation. In another cutscene, you see Issa running away from Adler, who was trying to kill her, but she managed to get the upper hand and stab him and push him off into a hole, which leads into what looks like inside of a monster. The floor and wall is all flesh covered, and what makes it worse is I think the whole place is moving. At first when I played it, I thought it was going to be all a top view game, but then when I picked up a book called The King in Yellow, an actual book created by Robert Chambers, you are taken to a beach, the shores of Oblivion. You come to it twice in the game. The first visit, you come out of a cave. The sky is dark red and the water is also dark, which could be just the light. You see pieces of paper scattered all over the sand that talk about death, decay, and reborn from the decay. You see a castle off in the distance, but you won't get there because at a certain point, it fades to black. The second time you are there at the shores of Oblivion, you see a boat that's docked. More pieces of paper are scattered and you climb on boat as it also fades into black. What's cool about it is that in that area, everything is set at a first person view, but all you can do is walk, no guns or anything. And it makes it a bit more creepy because you're by yourself and you just hear your footsteps on the sand and the ocean. The connection with the actual book and the game is that the cover is a clear reference, but with some differences. Notably, the book's back cover has a stylized backing to a ritual design and the additional 3 stars that are usually connected to either the nation bioresonance. Throughout the game, the book has seals, and they are pretty much the plates from nowhere, and then throughout the game, the seals slowly fall off. The actual book, The King in Yellow, details a series of stories that connect to a mythical book which shares the same name. In the game, it features allusions and details from the real book and the mythical tomb. One of the concepts of the book has a character, after reading it, will find themselves adopting the attributes of the character in the story. A young man named Hildred Castigan is in a futuristic version of New York City. He finds a tomb and reads it, but because of that, he starts to lose his sanity and ascribes himself of the role as the heir of the Imperial Dynasty of America. However, it's also seen in The Mask, where that character believes he is akin to Pallid Mask. You can see in the game that there are characters that do the exact same thing. Example, Alina, Ariane, and Falk say that they have been overrun from a certain degree by Ariane. All 3 slowly turn into a Penrose officer throughout the game. Falk says that Ariane is evading her mind, while Elena says she is losing herself to Ariane. One weak theory is that Elster and Issa share memories, in which is seen in the flashback to a school on Rotfoot, and both go down the same path. However, the connection isn't strong like the previous one, and it could be just a parallel character as an example. Hell, the power of the bioresonance and the king's powers are almost, if not the same. There is no clear limit to the bioresonance, but we can find heavy connections to the king. Bioresonance can influence the minds of others, while the king can do the same or make people go insane. Bioresonance can be used to telepathically communicate with others, while the king can grant its readers telepathy, which is shown by Tessie in the yellow sign. It can also distort reality, same thing with the king. When you keep going down, you come across some really good puzzles with finding key cards matching with the symbols, using your radio to find a frequency to get numbered codes for safes, and try to lower the temperature of an incinerator. Again, it's like an old Resident Evil game. The music in the game, in my opinion, is amazing. The soundtrack was made by Cicada Sirens and 1000 Eyes. They did an amazing job with the tone of the game, making it more intense and sometimes sad. My favorite is Die Tontenencio, Emptiness. Something about it makes me sad and empty. Like I'm slowly fading away because the joy and happiness I had is gone, and there's nothing to bring it back. Close to the end of the game, you find Issa looking at a small altar of her and her twin sister. You find out that both had an argument in the past and she wanted to apologize, but it's already too late. Erica had passed away, and so does Issa. She is infected by the disease that has killed everyone and melts away. There's nothing you can do. Just watch as she fades away. The game really doesn't hold its punches with its character's death or trauma, and it leaves you stunned. Many fans after playing it had the same reaction as me, broken that we cry in the end. The game has 4 endings as well as a false ending, so about 5. Each ending requires you to do a certain thing in order to get it, like don't interact with NPCs, don't take damage, or one ending, the artifact, where you have to find 3 keys: the key of love, eternity, and sacrifice. They're very easy to miss if you don't know where to find them and how to get them. Plus, you gotta remember a 20-digit code that pops up in different points of the game. If you can't remember them, do what I did and look them up, because if you don't, you're shit out of luck. The game for me is in my top 10 games to play because it was my favorite one to play close to the end of 2023. I kinda wish I knew about it in 2022, but at the same time, I'm glad I didn't. It's better to find out now than never. The game captures the horror sci-fi theme, and it definitely shows with the music, character designs, and the tone of it. I definitely recommend it if you want to get the same feeling with the old school Resident Evil games. If you want to get the same itch as the old RE games, then Signalis is definitely for you. The mechanics of it is, like I said before, it's a top view game, so you'll be able to see the surroundings while exploring each level. There is some backtracking for some of the puzzles and pieces that you need to progress to the story, and you have no idea how many times I got lost or had forgotten what I was doing. In some reviews, the devs said that the first few Silent Hill games had inspired them to make this game. I never really played any of the Silent Hill games before, but I could definitely tell where they got their inspiration. You have to be very smart with your inventory because you have 6 slots for your weapons, ammo, health, and puzzle pieces. Luckily, you can stack your ammo, same thing with your health items, but you gotta be careful because you could head into one area, be close to dying, and then you spot a health pack, but you can't get it because your slots are full. I definitely had those moments where I was low on ammo, but I couldn't take it because I forgot to empty my slots in the storage. Sometimes you'll come across 1 or 2 enemies in the beginning, but as you progress through the game, they will get tougher and tougher to the point you're surrounded by 6 enemies and you're short on ammo. Even the puzzles become tough as well. Sometimes you gotta write them down because they will be reused again later on. You won't know until you played it multiple times. And a cool thing about the game is when you beat it and when you come back, they change the passwords for some of the puzzles, so you gotta pay attention. Even though Elster is a copy of an android, each android you come across are different soldiers and are assigned to different positions. You'll find a medic, soldier, high rank, and even a tank like soldier that has a bulky armor and uses a large heavy laser. Barbara Whitman and Yuri Stern did an amazing job with all the character designs, leveling, puzzles, 3D modeling, and textures. Again, me talking about it doesn't do it justice, but I gotta speak up about this amazing game. If you don't want to play it and you just want to see someone do it, that's fine. It's same thing if you want to play the game before you even watch any playthroughs. You can have your own experience with it because I can tell you everyone gets their own journey of the game. Some things you'll never pick up during your playthrough, but one cool thing is a painting later on in the game that is a puzzle, and I think it's reused again close to the end. It's called Daito Tenencio, or the Isle of the Dead. You would never think much of it, just a puzzle you need to solve, and that's about it. But that's when you realize the name of the painting, and it makes sense. The painting was created between 1880 and 1886. It doesn't depict any explicit story, but instead it's an allegory that is mainly characterized by its obsession with death and decay. When you play the game, what do you see? Death from androids, some about to die, decay from enemies, bodies slowly coming off, and with Issa, she dies and decays into a puddle of blood. You also realize that your character Alistair also dies, same thing with Ariane, depending on the endings that you get. Close to the end of the game, you come face to face with Falk. At first, you meet her when she's deep sleep holding a puzzle, but this time she is fully awake and tells Elsa that you and her are the same. Falcon served as a protector commander of the Aeon's S-23 Sierpinski facility on Lang. She went down the mines and gazed past the Red Gate in eternity. While she was there, she was infected with Arian's bioresic abilities that caused her to gain memories of Elster, who had passed away and was gotten an unknown disease. The commander never talked about what she saw out there. I'm sure whatever it was what made her fall sick. Something about her changed when she returned. She was no longer a beloved leader, Falk. Adler. Because of what happened, Falk fell out of the disease and was confined to her bed. Over the few weeks, everyone in the facility would get infected by the unknown disease. Falk would go into a deep coma, but she still managed to write in her personal diary explaining that day. I don't know how much longer I can go on. I do not want to live anymore as what I have become. The red eyes beyond the gate showed me. No. Touched me. Poisoned me. It feels like my mind has been contaminated, defiled by another person's memory. It is no longer fully myself anymore, but I have not fully become someone else either. Falk. Because she was in a coma for a long time, she would descend into madness for both the disease and memories of ulcers that she attained. The connection to the bioresident grew faster that she would begin to dissociate rapidly, her memories being corrupted. Falk's memories started to be taken over by Elster's, as she writes: a crashed ship, a strange gate, a hole in the ground, an island beyond reach, memories from other lives, dreams of suffering and loneliness, a promise. As the memories of the stranger rushed into my mind, I felt the borders of myself blur. Now I can no longer tell where Falk and Elster begins. After describing the memories, she at times believed she was Elster, feeling her emotions and inheriting the memories. We were dancing to the song that they started the broadcast with. We fall asleep watching that movie we had said before so many times. If I could take us back to the time we were happy, those memories are now mine. No, when you get to the end, you meet Falk as she wakes up from her coma, levitating with her abilities and saying, "There's nothing for you here. She'll never dance with us again. No matter what we do, she doesn't even want us anymore." Falk distorts or warps us to an unknown location, saying, "Both of us are incomplete. Let us become whole again." After you defeat Falk with her spear, she weakly reaches out to you with memories of Elster and Arian hugging on board the Penrose 512. Falk slowly dies, and her last words to you is, "We are now home." You are now walking towards the red gate, and awaiting you is Adler, but this time he looks different. His face is all scratched up viciously. He says that you've come back, implying that you've repeated the cycle all over again. That the world would be destroyed if you continue. As you get closer and closer, he attacks you with a knife to your eye, but you shoot him. You pull the knife and walk past him. Adler slowly dies from the gunshot wound, and the last thing you hear is, "You are selfish." In your mind, your goal is to get to Ariane, disregarding what happens to others. Like I said, this game has 4 endings, 1 false ending, but no matter what you do, the outcome is still the same. You die, and you get no happy ending. In one ending called Leave, Elster can't go in the cryopod, so she leaves the ship and removes her armor plating, walking on the planet's surface. She collapses and dies. In memory, Esther finds Ariane in her pod and wakes her up. But Ariane doesn't have any memory of her. She stays by her side until she slowly passes away from the injury she sustained, while Ariane remains alive. The ending I got on my first playthrough was Promise. Elsa wakes Ariane and she remembers her. Ariane tells Elsa that you have to do it. It's time to end this. She's pleading to Elsa to take her life. Elsa lays her hands around Ariane's neck as she slowly passes away. Elsa gives Ariane a kiss before she collapses from her injuries and dies next to Ariane. Her eyes slowly dimming away as the screen cuts to black and the credits roll. The game is beautifully told and designed that you want to know what is going on. How did people catch the virus? How did it take over everything and almost kill everyone? Sometimes the notes you find won't have much detail because some of the words are scratched away, so it's tough to know what's going on. Even I had more questions than answers until I looked them up, but it sucks because I wanted the two to be happy and alive. But I'm not gonna lie and say I didn't enjoy my time playing all the way. Going to bed and during work, I would always have the game in my mind thinking, did I miss something? What the hell's going on? What happened here? Games like these are my favorite, and I'll say that if a game catches my attention with the style and its story, and when I see the trailer to see the deal, I'm gonna get it. I hope you enjoyed this. These types of videos have been on my mind for a long time when I started making videos with commentary. I wasn't gonna make a video about any game, just games that I've completed on my channel and for those that I really like. So expect more of these in the future. But I'd say that's thanks to Signalis Wiki page for having all this information that I never knew about the game until I looked it up. And while doing this research, I asked some of my friends who seen the trailer or have been watching some of my playthroughs with the game. They've told me that it is a bit nerve-wracking and that they want to know what is going to happen next because they're pretty much on the edge of their seat. Even though, like I said, the game is a top view and you could see the surroundings, it's definitely a bit of a jump scare each time an enemy pops up from a corner or from a shadow. And I could tell you multiple times I've been scared or surprised whenever something pops up. But again, like I said, this is something I wanted to do for a long time, and yeah, expect more of these in the future.